Snooker Loopy, not so we, me and him and them and me. We'll show you what we can do with a load of balls and a snooker cue. Pop the red stand, screw back for the yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black. Snooker Loopy, not so we, World Snooker Loopy.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Snooker Loopy podcast. My name is Tom Mayhew, and I'm joined as always by my very, very good friend. He's very handsome, he's very lovely, he's absolutely stunning. It's the Silver Fox, Joe Hannard.
Well, a very good evening, Hazel, and a very good evening, everybody at home. And I do actually have a few grey hairs up here. You probably won't be able to see it on camera, but the kids always
really?
point out my grey hairs. I do have a few, yes.
I'm sorry, I just saw it was David Taylor's nickname apparently,
Yeah.
and I thought I would use that. I didn't.
He's the Silver Fox. So
there we go, Joe. You're in good company. I didn't know you had any grey hairs, but there we go.
no, I do. I have quite a few sort of streaks up here, but you can't really see it on camera. But the kids never fail to point that out to me at school. So yeah. And for those of you that think, wow, Joe looks a bit old to be going to school, I am a teacher, if you're not already aware of that. So, yeah.
People there were thinking, what, I didn't know Joe was still in sixth form, this is unbelievable.
Yes, very youthful with my grey hairs.
No, but you've still got a baby face, mate. They could have thought it was like a fashionable grey
The baby face Silver Fox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Little baby Silver Fox. Beautiful, there we go.
But yeah, you know, it's, I mean, when we're recording this, Tom, it is the night before the general election of Great Britain. So, I mean, when this comes out, we might be censored at this point, Tom. We might be censored.
Are you implying that somehow Reform UK are going to have won the election, they're going to have banned all comedy podcasts, and we'll be chucked out, mate, and it'll be replaced by Jim Davidson doing the Big Break podcast next episode. It'll be a very different thing.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, I mean, hopefully you can see this. Hopefully we haven't been censored by the British government, but we're going to do our own sort of election special, aren't we, Tom, today?
Yeah, and you know, I mean, I don't think we will be censored. I think we'll.
Very good, Tom. Very good.
Do you know what I mean?
Very good. Yes, I do know.
There we go. And there's
I know exactly what you mean. And
no
now
way
he's going to have an absolute
me.
nightmare editing that, because he's going to go, well, how come I wasn't talking during that bit? So hopefully he doesn't leave it a week to edit it, otherwise he'll completely forget what's happened there.
No, we'll try and get this out. I mean, hopefully, by the time this episode comes out, it will still be during the new government, whatever the new government might be. It will be within the next 5 years. But we're going to do our own snooker election podcast. So we're not going to no sort of serious election things, because that's not what this podcast is. And frankly, I think people know who, if you want to vote, you know who you want to vote for. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But we are basically saying, if me and Joe were running to be president of WST, so Barry Hearn has sold up, he's got rid of all the Hearns have gone, and need a new president or a new prime minister maybe. He has to go prime minister. A new prime minister of WST, and me and Joe are going to put our policies to the country, by which I mean the 300 or so Snooker Loopy podcast listeners, and you guys will vote who becomes the Prime Minister of WST. And I think, Joe, you've got some policies. Do you want to announce one of them or all of them? What do you want to do? How are we going to do it? Are we going to have a debate?
Oh dear. Well, we need a mediator for a debate, don't we? So
we need Dennis Taylor in the middle going.
Well, good evening, Hazel. No, we need Hazel Irvin. We need Hazel.
Good evening, Hazel. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Hazel.
You've got your,
I'm happy to get us started,
ID. Got your voting ID ready, everybody? Don't forget that.
Yes. Yeah, you sounded a bit like Fionn there. So maybe Fionn could be our mediator.
There we go, Fionn. If you're free right now, Fionn. Which you're not. Imagine if you went Fionn and he just appeared and went, oh, hello, let's go.
Hello, top of the morning to you. Yeah.
Right, that's Fionn gone. Okay, that's one listener down, right?
Hey, we do impressions on this channel. Theon knows that. He knew what he was getting into.
Already, Joe has, I think, lost the hearts of the Irish vote. I'm feeling pretty confident right now.
I'm sorry. I mean, I probably lost it with my impression of Dennis Taylor, to be fair, so,
No, I think that won you many hearts in Northern Ireland.
That won me many hearts in Northern Ireland, but it's perhaps the Republic of Ireland where I don't have such popularity.
Well, I mean, they won't affect the vote, I suppose, because they're not in the UK. But anyway,
all
Joe,
right. It's also a UK only vote.
Well, that's what the general election is, isn't it?
Oh, so it is for our campaigns as well. So Lars can't.
It could be the whole world. We could have
to. We can have a worldwide.
Oh God!
It's World Snooker Tour, Tom.
Okay. Well. All right. Well, I'm gonna say. You go first.
I go first. Okay. So my main policy, I think, for becoming a Prime Minister of WST, Tom, and it's something I've talked about a lot over the years in podcasts, and essentially, I think we need a new tiered system of tournaments for the World Snooker Tour. And I've talked about it a lot, but let me get this out to you. Let me get this out to you in simple terms, Tom. Tennis has its Grand Slams. Tennis has its Masters 1000 series. It has 500, 250, 125, so on and so on. And basically any one of the thousands of professional tennis players can play in all of these events any time of the year, and all of these are basically standardized point systems that then count towards the rankings and qualification for the top tier events is determined on where your ranking is. So that is what I want to bring to snooker. Okay, we've got far too many Mickey Mouse tournaments that are, bulking up people's ranking, event win tally, and ultimately that is why we are going to see in the next 5 or 6 years Judd Trump overtaking Ronnie O'Sullivan's ranking event tally, because he's going to end up winning the Gibraltar Open another 6 times, and those sort of tournaments. So what I propose is, we have our Triple Crown series. They become our Grand Slams, and we're going to have a double weighting towards the World Championship. So the World Championship is going to be the absolute pinnacle. That will get you the most ranking points. We are then going to have the Masters and the UK Championship also getting ranking points. So yes, that means that the Masters, for the first time, is going to be a ranking event. And why not? Why not be a ranking event? Even though it's invitational, so is the Coral Series, as it was. The Players' Championship, Tour Championship. They're kind of invitational, so they're locked out to certain players depending on their ranking. So that is going to be my ultimate top tier of events. Then we're going to drop down to the sort of majors, if you like. Major tournament, the Master Series, which will be your Shanghai Masters, your European Masters, German Masters, all of those. Those are going to be our Masters Series. And then beneath that, we're going to have our sort of Nation Series events, which will include the home nations. It'll have, the Wuhan Open in there. You can have anything that you want in that sort of third tier series, and then you will have the minor ranking tournaments underneath that. So this will completely change how history has been written in terms of who's in these league tables, who's high up these league tables, and I would be having Ronnie O'Sullivan obviously right up there at the top because he's got 23 Triple Crown titles, and that's how we will now sort it for future greatest of all time debates. But there you go. That's my plan.
Well, you've lost the vote of Gibraltar there, Joe. I think you've also lost the vote of players like Michael Georgiou, who's very proud of his ranking win, and
doesn't deserve it. Tepchai New, yeah. If they want to be considered as great players, then they will have to win Triple Crown events or Grand Slam events right at the top of the tree.
Well, I've got two things I'd like to introduce.
Go on.
They're not going to be as in-depth. They're just more sort of ideas, I think, that would freshen up the sport in a way and give us different things to follow. Because what snooker and any sport nerd likes following is like the stats and the records. And you like the fact, seeing how every little match can affect a player's all-time standing, and you like watching the world number one, and you like seeing who's got the most ranking titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought we should have a brand new thing that is a bit like a title in boxing, where you have a player who is you have the world champion, which is the traditional world championship, and then you have the WST champion, and that's given to the current number one. And if they lose it, whoever wins it then becomes the WST champion. And then there's a new WST champion, and in that WST champion, there'll be a rule they have to defend it on tour every 6 months, or it becomes vacated, so that it won't disappear if a player drops off tour. And I just think it would mean every match with a top player, there'd be something riding on it, and you'd be able to go, yeah, I've defended my title. Because everyone goes on about, these players they won 7 matches in a row or whatever, but there's no sort of quantifiable way of you seeing that apart from literally David Hendon's timeline on Twitter. Do you know what I mean? It would mean there'd be a thing where people can go, oh yeah, Ronnie O'Sullivan defended the WST title 20 times before he lost it to Si Jiahui in the Championship League or something, and it would give you a different way of kind of following snooker, and it wouldn't be like a ranking title, but maybe there would be 10 grand per defence or something like that, which would just give you something else to sort of cheer on, and I think a different almost way of following snooker. I think that would be a good idea. And the one other thing I'd like to add is kind of, I borrowed that a bit from boxing or a bit from wrestling, that kind of thing. The other thing I've borrowed is from football. Now, football, obviously, what does Erling Haaland get when he scores the most goals in the Premier League in a season?
A golden boot.
So why isn't there a trophy for whoever gets the most centuries in the season? You give them the Golden Cue Award. So literally, and we could backdate it over the past 50 years or whatever, but it would mean that, everyone goes, oh, Judd Trump has got the most centuries this season, but it doesn't mean anything. If there was a Golden Cue trophy, then you would have a reason to try and be top of that centuries list. And again, it gives the fans another thing to aim for. It gives the players something else to aim for, and the fans something to cheer on and follow. And it'd be just really interesting to go like, oh, Ronnie's won the Golden Cue 10 times, and Judd's going for the 8th time. And it would just be a different kind of way of making centuries actually far more important as a tangible thing. I mean, they are important in terms of winning frames and winning matches, but I just think it would be nice if there was something that rewarded players for, actually caring about whether they're top of the centuries list or not. Because that can only, again, it'll be a thing that means a player wants to make centuries more, which can only be a good thing. And I just think it would be a little things like that which would make following a season slightly different. They would be my two policies. And Joe, have you got one more? Is that right?
I do have another one. It's kind of similar to yours in that I've stolen it from football. But you might remember, so we have this on and off World Cup idea, and it's always played out in China. I think that we should have more nationality-based events. So like a European Championship where, we have Team Belgium and Team Germany and Team England and Team Scotland and whatever, battling it out. And you could even put ranking points available for it to make it a bit more appealing to people, for people to play in. A little bit like the Olympics, I suppose. You could have the top 2 from each nation automatically qualifying for these events, but you could have them all around the world. So you could have the Asian Championship, you could have the North American Championship, South American Championship, and then once you've got winners from all of that, you then have a sort of Confederations Cup type thing where all of the winners of the different events come together along with the world champions, and they compete for the ultimate crown.
Mate, I love that idea. I really love that idea.
I just think we should play on the nationality a lot more, because we've got actually such a diverse amount of nations, and it would give such a platform for the likes of, Hossein Vafai, for instance, who would, be leading Iran, and obviously you'd have Brissell for Belgium, but you'd have those top players, but then you'd have their teammate as well, if you like, that you've probably never heard of playing alongside them.
I can only think of, from Iran, Sahil Vahidi, possibly. I think he was from Iran. But then for him, it'd be massive to be on that big stage. And to be honest, I think Hossein's a great example, because he's one who always in his interviews mentions, coming from Iran and wanting to make his country proud. And so it would, as you said, they keep going. They keep talking about snooker in the Olympics. Well, why don't you prove that it actually works as a nations tournament by making a bigger thing of the World Cup? Because it feels like it's a real... I don't know whether it's kind of disrespectful to call it this, but quite a throwaway tournament, really. Yeah. There's no hype.
No, it absolutely is,
There's no coverage. It seems to happen once every 2 years and then not again for 6 years. It's very...
And it needs to go around the world as well, ultimately. I mean, they could even make it a 6-red format, do something different with it. You could do shootout rules, that would be crazy. Snooker Plus, you could have the 167 in there. You could do anything you want with these types of tournaments. They used to do a Nations Cup years and years ago, but I think it would be great if we could have a European Championship, played it in Leicester or something like that, or played in Berlin, or played in Finland. Finland have had a great affinity with snooker recently, so I just think that would be an awesome addition to the tour.
Yeah, I like that. I like all of these policies, Joe. I think the future is bright for the...
Shall we go into coalition, Tom?
We should. I think me and Joe are going to work together. We're not going to quite get enough votes for a majority, but me and Joe are going to go together. We'll take over WST. It's
a hung election, and we're like a tin of Ronseal, aren't we? We do exactly what it says on the tin. I think that's what Clegg and Cameron said all those years ago.
Can I Bagsy Clegg, just because I don't fancy being Cameron?
Oh, come on. Mate. I like Nick Clegg. Nick Clegg's my favourite.
You got a poster of him on your wall, don't you?
I've probably got a poster of him somewhere, to be quite honest with you, Tom.
You can't see it at the moment in the video because Joe's put it right in the centre. So
yeah, exactly.
Shall we, Joe? It's fairly early in the podcast for me to do this, but I'm just so excited by it.
Okay.
Shall we cue the music?
Let's cue the music.
This is, Joe, the most excited I've been about a cue the music for days.
Wow.
Literally, I've spent days looking forward to sharing this with you, and I'm going to do something a bit different with this one, Joe.
Okay.
I'm going to send you the link, and we will listen to it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to tell you who it's by or anything like that.
Okay, so we're not going to get any history on it. All right, that's interesting.
There'll be some history afterwards, but for your first listen, I want just your pure reaction to it. Maybe we'll get you on the solo cam, and we can get like a pure Joe reaction to this track. Let me know when you're ready, Joe.
So you want me on camera for this, yeah?
I think so, and at least we'll get some of the highlights of your immediate reaction to this track.
Right, here we go then. I have got it up, Tom. So are you ready to listen to this? And everybody is going to hear the audio coming through as well. At this point, we are all going to react to this together. So this is going to be interesting. How long is it? Is that 3 minutes 14 seconds? Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very worried about this, but Shall we go for it?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to do the countdown?
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Jimmy! Get to bed! You got a big day tomorrow!
Oi, oi!
My ship's coming, I've had a big win. Big cigar, a nice fast car. No more work, I'm just gonna play. I'm gonna have a fantastic.
I'm guessing this is Jimmy White.
My ship's coming, I've had a big win. Yeah, my ship's coming.
What's the... Ooh! The background. This is really weird, Tom. This is really weird. I'm putting your face on there as well. We're seeing your reaction at the same time.
I don't need a pension. Freedom for all is a nice idea. I'm going for a curry and 10 pints of beer. Sunshine holidays, here I come. I might even take my dear old chums. I'm absolutely minted, I'm flying high. I'm thinking about my skin mates as they struggle by.
Oi, oi! Ooh, what's the... Ooh.
It's a bit like the man from the Hurricane Higgins song.
Yeah. Go on, Hurricane.
Dear bank manager, it's for real. Changing banks now as you feel. Rolls wasn't quickly and great big ball by the end of the week. I'll have it till. Worried so much
I love how Thomas called this Cue the Music, so I had no idea what this was. I have so many questions. Wake up, Jimmy! Well, Tom, I mean, what was that?
Oh, it started
Please
something
do
else.
explain.
What did you think it was, mate? That's what I want to know.
What do I think it was? Well, I think it's Jimmy White. What was he doing? What was he doing?
I don't think he knew, mate. I don't think he knew. Here's a question for you, Joe. Can you guess what year that was released?
I'm going to go for 1987.
Ooh, higher.
1994.
Higher.
2007.
2003.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
Apparently, it was released as a CD single, and it reached 134 in the charts.
How?
And he said he was gonna... Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones or someone, I think he's from them, he wrote it for Jimmy, and they were gonna release it when Jimmy won the world title. But he never won it, so instead they released it when he won the World Poker Championship.
Ah, okay.
And it's on CD, mate. There we go.
Oh my word! Jimmy's minted.
It just says Jimmy's minted on it, even though the song's called Minted. And you'll be pleased today, mate. There's a karaoke mix if you want to go and
Oh, thanks. Well,
Sing
Tom, I mean
along.
that is something else. So it's called Minted.
Mm-hmm.
Minted by Jimmy White. Wow.
Yep.
And believe it or not, this is episode number 48. Tom.
Oh, there's a lyric in it, Joe, that is, I worried so much I was in despair. Now I'm loaded, I just don't care. Beautiful women running fingers through my hair. But I'm afraid we're talking transplant here.
Ah.
There we
What?
go.
So it's confirmed that his hair isn't real.
Apparently so.
Apparently so. I mean, how do we even rate this? Because there was some very interesting elements of this song. There was the "Wake up, Jimmy! Wake up, Jimmy!" And there was the "Ooh, ooh."
Why is Jimmy... I mean, when is this? 2003, so he'd be probably 40 odd. Why is he presumably sleeping at his mum's house and she's waking him up in the morning?
Well,
Wake up, Jimmy!
it
Time for
explains
school!
a lot of why he wasn't successful.
Vocals, it says, Joe, on the single, it says
Jimmy
by
Brown.
It says Jimmy and his chums.
Jimmy and his chums.
4 people wrote this, mate, these lyrics.
Wow.
4 people.
Was Jimmy White one of them?
Yes, Jimmy
Wow.
White has got a songwriting credit on this.
Oh my word.
Jimmy White wrote this line, I presume. Freedom for all is a nice idea, but I'm going for a curry and 10 pints of beer. Oh, doesn't it just touch you in the heart? Doesn't it
Yeah,
touch you
that
in the
was one of
heart?
the more memorable parts of the song. Wow.
Oh, well, what would you give it, Joe? I mean, the question for you, Joe, one quick question. What would be better than one Jimmy White single?
A second Jimmy White single? Oh dear.
It's
that-
brand new and sealed. I can't believe they didn't play it. Can you believe it, that they bought it and didn't play it? But
How have you got 2 of them?
They were both brand new and sealed. I saw it on Amazon for some reason. There was 2 new copies on Amazon. I ordered them both. I thought I'd give one to my good friend Joe.
Oh,
It might
thanks.
It might stay sealed in your house for the next.
It probably
20
will stay sealed in my
This was
house.
probably sealed 21 years ago, and no one's played it, Joe. But this one, I did have to open. It didn't open very easily. It was like the CD case itself was going, "Please don't play me." But there we go, Joe. What would you give? I mean, how do you rate Jimmy White's Minted? Will you be playing it again?
No. You know what? It wasn't the worst thing we've listened to, I don't think. Was it better than The Wanderer? I'm not sure. Was it better than Hazel Irvine? I'm not sure. It's not as good as the Romford rap. So
Oh,
I mean,
damning.
I gave the Romford rap a 5. I gave Hazel Irvine a 3. I gave the Wanderer a 2.5. I'm airing on giving this one a 3, Tom.
Is that your lowest score so far?
No. Snooker Loopy by Big Bill Werbeneck 147 Pints Mix is 1. So
I was really happy because I saw the Big Bill Werbenack pint mix of Snooker Loopy on eBay the other day for
Did you?
£5. But,
Wow.
Someone bought it for £14, so it was above my limit. So
Really?
I was like, good. Yeah.
jeez.
They must have really wanted the green version, but
I bet
will
you it was
say-
one of our listeners, Tom.
it was probably Ian or Alok or one of those two, I
Yeah.
imagine. But I will think Jimmy White is minted. In his defence, all profits went to children in need. I don't know whether there were many profits whatsoever. Probably none. So it probably actually took money from children in need with this release.
Yeah.
All while singing about how minted he is, which is a bit weird. I will give it... Oh, God. In a way, it should be a 1. But it is Jimmy White. And that does make it inherently hilarious.
Well, you gave the Romford Rap a 4.
For me, this is slightly better than the Romford Rap, I think. I find it less, genuinely, I think the fact that it is basically the return of "Come On Hurricane" in a brand new song, going, "Oh, go on, Jimmy,
go on, Hurricane,"
and the idea of Jimmy,
go on, Whirlwind.
Jimmy, for some reason, being woken up by his mum in his 40s. I'm going to give it a 5, mate. I'm going to give it a 5.
Jesus.
And that
makes it as good as Ruby by Stephen Hendry's Rubbish, The Journey by Peter Devlin, Chasing Cars by Mark Selby. It's not quite as good as White Christmas by Dominic Dale. It's the same as Life's in the Pocket by Alex Higgins, and the same as Hazel Irvin. Wow.
Do you want to review the karaoke version as a separate cue of the music? Or?
You know what, Tom? I think I'm all right. That gives him an average of 4. That puts him above The Wanderer and his good friend Alex Higgins. So
I think this song is worth a brown ball.
Yeah.
I would say. Just, even though it's it's yellow. It's all yellow, actually.
Yellow
and black. Even though minted would make you think of green. So maybe I'm going to lower my score to make it yellow like the CD. I'm going to change my score. If I change it to a 4, would that make it an average of a 3?
It would, yeah.
Let's do that then.
Okay. Oh, no, it would give it a 3.5. We'll give it a 3.5.
How do I change it to a 3? Have I just got to be a 3?
You've got to be a 3, yeah.
Fine, I'll give it a 3, just so it's yellow like the CD.
Okay.
For further info,
but
Joe,
yellow's not 3. Yellow's not 3. Green is 3. It would have to be 2.
Oh crap! You're right. I was thinking of green because it was minted and it was green.
You'd have to give it a 1, and that would be your worst score ever.
Do you know what, Joe? I'm going to give it a 1. Jimmy, your ship's not coming. It's only 134 in the charts. I don't know why you bloody bother with this. And I bought it twice. There's probably more copies than it sold when he released
no wonder
it.
It got up to 134 then, if you bought it twice.
Is he holding the World Championship on that front cover, can you see?
Yeah.
Like he is.
Yeah.
The trophy he's never won, and he's holding it on the front cover.
Well, I mean, Tom, I was not expecting that. And you've changed your scores. I mean, your credibility in this election is just... It's gone. It's gone. Yeah. Tell them about that £2,000.
What, that Jimmy paid me to promote his song on the podcast? Yeah. It went, lads, I need some airplay. No one's heard it. Can you please?
Well, let us know in the comments. Has anybody ever heard that song before? Because 134 is scarily high in the charts for something like that, I think.
Yeah, well, it was released in the era where it would have sold CDs, so there must be a couple of thousand copies of this lying about somewhere. And it can't just be in Joe Johnson's garage. They can't all be there. It can't be Joe Johnson making this emporium of collections. There must be some... Someone out there must have
Joe
bought minted...
Johnson's Snooker CD Emporium, everybody.
I'd go shop there. That'd be great.
Well, you'd shop there, but nobody else would, and that's why it wouldn't last. You'd buy 2 copies of everything.
Oh dear.
I'm intrigued what you're going to do for Cue the Laughter now.
Shall we just listen to it again?
I'm all right, Tom. I am all right.
I don't think I could top this, mate. Cue the Laughter.
No, that's brilliant, Tom. Thank you very much for finding that. And that is what Cue the Music is all about, finding these obscure pieces of nonsense, basically, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, do let us know as well in the comments if you found anything. I know I think Fion has found us some stuff, in the past, and I know Aiden's sent us some Joe Johnson stuff as well. So do get in touch with the Snooker Loopy podcast at gmail.com. And in the comments section, we are nearly at 200 subscribers on the YouTube now, so it's all going rather swimmingly.
Everything's coming up Millhouse, mate.
Yeah.
There we are. Now, Joe, cue the laughter.
Let's cue the laughter.
So cue the laughter this week, Joe. It's an item I found a few weeks ago, and it could have probably been part of the sponsorship episode that I did, to be honest, because it is related to a long-term sponsor of snooker. It's related to Embassy, which, of course, we do not endorse because they probably make you ill. Don't smoke Embassy. Smoking is bad for you. I don't know whether we have to legally say that, but I think during an election we need to probably be careful. So,
yes.
Vote for me and I will make it illegal to smoke unless you've got a great moustache. There we go. Perfectly covered. But this is an item I found during the World Championship, and it is very apt, really, for Embassy. It is a ashtray.
An ashtray, okay.
It's themed like a snooker table.
Ooh. Right, I will get it up then.
It was produced to commemorate 24 years of support Embassy has given to World Snooker Championship. So probably, I don't know, that might be about in the 90s possibly, or maybe, I'm not too sure what year that would be. This was released.
There we go. That should do it. But Embassy World Snooker Limited Edition ashtray, focus points collector item. $44.99. Best offer accepted. So somebody has bought this, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. I imagine this stuff might be collectible for the right kind of people.
Yeah. I mean, what I don't quite understand is how big it is.
I mean, the shape of I don't know, the general shape of an ashtray would make you think it can't be too big, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it says the 24 years of support, so... Well, I'm guessing the first Embassy World Championship would have been 77, I guess. Wouldn't it? So...
Oh, so would this be...
So would that be...
2001 or something?
Yeah. Could well be.
I'm not too sure. But it looks quite nice. I like the fact that it's got the Embassy World Snooker thing on it, and it's got little sort of fake pockets. Like, it is a thing that... Obviously, it's an ashtray, which I don't smoke, so I'd have no practical use. But I reckon it's something that would look quite nice if it was, like, on your side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, someone came round and... I mean, you can maybe put different coloured sweets in that, kind of like snooker balls or something. I don't know. Something like that could be...
I mean, it's the sort of thing I would have on my shelf.
Well, maybe that's why I liked it, Joe, because it made me think of you. That's probably why.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, by the way, just speaking of things I've got in my collection, people absolutely loved the beer mats last time. So there you go.
We had We had two emails probably.
You know what? Pretty much every comment on the YouTube video had said, "Oh, I love the I love the beer mats." So. Yeah, no, that's a cracker. I really like that, Tom. I mean, I wouldn't have paid $44.99 for it, I'm going to be honest, but...
Oh, there is another one on eBay that is also $49.99. I don't know whether that's the going rate or what. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But, that one on eBay's in mint condition, though. No way is that worth 50 quid. But I think it looks really nice. I think it's a nice little item. I don't really know if you'd want to use it, to be honest. I think it would probably just ruin it, and it looks a bit nicer when it's not got ash marks all over it.
Yeah.
It's just quite a nice sort of little as I said, a little thing you could put on your side if you played snooker, or if you had like a framed picture of a player, it would look quite nice below it. And I just saw it and thought that's a very Snooker Loopy podcast thing, and it must be fairly rare. There's only a few of them about, just by eBay, and that's what we do. We find old bits of treasure, and we try and force Joe to buy it. That's the whole point of the podcast.
Yes, you're not going to get me to buy that one, I'm afraid. But yeah, no, it was a really good one there, Tom. So yeah, thanks for that one. Thanks for that. That was awesome. And yeah, I, again, you know, just like the cue the music. If you guys see any silly merchandise of snooker, or know any history of the ashtray, or do you own the ashtray? Do you know what year it comes from? Do let us know down in the comments, because we really do want to hear from you regarding that. So yeah. Brilliant. I mean, we do have a couple of other bits of news to sort of talk about. Obviously, we've got the new Invitational Tour card that has been handed out to Crafty Ken. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that?
Yep. Well, not only that wasn't the only card. There was a card offered to Stephen Hendry.
There was.
Which he refused. So that's probably officially retirement, you'd presume. But, I mean, we're delighted to see Ken get one. I think we all on this podcast did say Ken should get one. Stephen probably shouldn't, and that's effectively the way it's turned out, because Stephen's, you know, been true to himself and said he can't commit, which is the respectful thing to do. I mean, it is a weird thing now because the tour is not 128 players, so I always think it's a bit stupid when they do that. I'm like, why would you not just give tour cards to the top-up Q Tour players or other players who are on invitationals? Because otherwise it seems stupid to not have enough professionals to fill the tournament. But hey, I'm not Prime Minister of WST yet. When I am, that is one thing I will do. There'll be 128 professionals for every tournament.
Dennis Taylor will be given an Invitational Tour card.
Dennis Taylor, Invitational. Joe Johnson, Invitational Tour card. I'd probably just have those two, actually. It'd be a two-man tour on world number one, world number two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm delighted for Ken. I think he deserves it. I really think, though, again, if I was in charge, I would say that there are just Invitational Tour cards for every player who is, you know, in the World Snooker Hall of Fame, if they want one.
Yeah.
Because I think it's stupid to have this weird kind of limbo period where not even Ken knew whether he was getting one at the end of the season, and we had the first ranking event of the season, and Ken wasn't in it because he hadn't got the tour card, I presume. And it just seems a bit stupid. I think you may as well say, which is what Barry Hearn initially said was, you know, all former world champions will get an invitational card if they want one. He offered one to Steve Davis, I think, and to Hendry. I think they should just say that, and so it's a bit clearer for both, you know, the players and the fans. Because it's stupid how every 2 years we go, is Jimmy going to stay on tour? Just say straight, this will be the rule. This group of players, if they want one, they can have a tour card. Done. I think I don't know why they mess around with it, really. And I think, but I think Hendry also, he's made the right choice. And I think the question it made me think, Joe, Stephen Hendry, worst sporting comeback. Let's re-say this, okay. Stephen Hendry, worst sporting comeback of all time.
I mean, possibly. However, I do think that first game back that Stephen Hendry played, where he got a century in his first frame, you know, I think that took some doing. When Hendry played, I don't think he played that terribly, and I think that's maybe the thing to take away from it, is that there's so many players on tour that lose every match, that Hendry was just another one of them. You know, it wasn't as if he embarrassed himself. But in terms of his engagement with the tour, absolutely. You know, because he just didn't enter tournaments towards the end, and that was a shame. I think possibly not the worst sporting comeback ever, but the worst use of an invitational tour card, or a worst use of a wild card ever, probably.
Well, I suppose I would agree, because it can't be, statistically the worst comeback, because he did win a couple of matches. So he did win a couple. He did knock in a couple of centuries. But I think in terms of the hype, and in terms of the hype versus his commitment, it just didn't match up really. And I think, it's not going to diminish his legacy or anything. Do you know what I mean?
No. But I don't know what he was looking to get out of it, really. Because he was never ever going to be top 32 worthy. I don't think.
It's strange though, because I do think there could be, because he does a lot of stuff on YouTube now of his Q-Tips channel, and I always do think that surely that could go hand in hand with being on tour, and you could do like vlogs from venues and talk about your practice and talk about who you're playing, and that would be an incredible, basically like some of the backstage stuff from Ronnie O'Sullivan's documentary, but it could be something you do all season, and that could be a fantastic thing for people to watch on YouTube. But I just don't know whether he has the drive to compete, and if you've lost that drive, then it's no point you trying, because you're against 125 other players who do have that drive, and it's regardless of whatever natural talent you have, you can't expect to beat them when you're probably 3 times the age of some of them nowadays, and they're practicing 20 times more than you a week. So
I think was it his second season back, because I feel like the first season back he didn't play until the Gibraltar Open or something, did he? Something silly like that. And then he beat Jimmy obviously in the World Championship qualifiers that year. And I think his second season back he played in a lot of tournaments that year, and that was more like it. But
let's look it up. How many ranking tournaments did he actually play in?
It felt like he played in a few. I feel like he played in the British Open, maybe. Maybe even the UK Championship he played in. But ultimately, his work commitment always came first, and I think that is ultimately why it failed. Why the comeback failed is because he wasn't prepared to give up that work for one day to go and play in a qualifier or go and play in a first round match.
Well, it says he played 20 matches in the 4 years, and he only won 3 of them. And 20 matches in 4 years. I think usually there's about 20 ranking tournaments a season. There's invitationals, there's non-ranking kind of events, there's, stuff like that.
Even in the Championship League, he would have played 12 matches just, there. But, yeah, it's a shame. As I say, it's probably... It just coincided with him doing his YouTube stuff, and I think ultimately that became a lot more popular than he probably ever expected it to become. And therefore, the timing of him enjoying his snooker again and practicing again and having a coach again and wanting to compete again coincided with this YouTube thing where he was very good at it, and he wants to be the best always, and he can be the best in the snooker YouTube area, and I think that's ultimately what took him away. But yeah, take nothing away from Ken. Obviously, we both say Ken deserves it. I think Ken can still compete on tour. He's certainly no worse than a lot of the players that are on tour at the moment. You could have made that argument about Stephen Hendry, not being as good. But
it's always tricky to gauge with Henry though, because people will say, well, he's clearly not as good because look at his ranking or his prize money. But it's always hard to judge when a player is not entering every event, not playing in most events, and...
But he doesn't even play in the seniors now.
Yeah, I wonder whether that's him gone. I wonder whether that will be the last time we see Hendry, because I think it would have hurt his pride quite a bit, and I don't think it's something that he'll he didn't play on the seniors much after retiring initially either, so I think he might just be a YouTuber unless Saudi Arabia offer him a lot of money for
The Stephen Hendry Snooker Tour.
Yeah, they might do that. You never know. Do you know what I mean? As soon as they come and give him loads of money, he might go, actually, I'm going to come back. But I don't think he'll be on the tour again. I think his final match as a pro, a loss to Ross Muir 4-2. And that could have been his final match in January of this year as a pro, which is sad, obviously, because a great of the game. But I do at least respect him for, being honest and not just tour card for granted, because they offered it to him. He obviously could have done. I wonder whether they did say behind the scenes, "We'll give it to you, but you have to play this many events and maybe." But then we'll never know this. Do you know what I mean?
We'll
I
never
wonder
know,
whether there was something like that, because otherwise you'd kind of go, "Well, why wouldn't you take it?" Because there's space on tour.
Yeah.
But hey, there we are.
Well,
delighted for Ken.
Yeah. That is the way it is. But yeah. Never mind, Stephen. One thing I did want to do, Tom, is read out a few of our emails and comments that we've had over the last couple of weeks since the last episode. First one is from Matt, or Ma, from Middlesbrough. He says, got in touch on the email, said, "Good evening, Hazel. Good evening to everybody at home. Loved your podcast on the snooker games. I adored Snooker 19. It was how I first found Joe's channel and got in touch with him in the first place. Yeah, I don't think we've ever actually had a game together on it. If you guys do want to do a Snooker 19 calendar, or Snooker 19 calendar creating, do let me know. I'm happy to Photoshop 12 different images of Dennis Taylor in a barn posing with nothing but a small hay bale covering his two little cue balls. That would be
please.
That would be some cue the laughter. A question for Joe. Did you ever find out why certain features were never brought to Snooker 19 that they said they would, as well as any reasons as to why it never got followed up with a Snooker 20 or 21? Was it down to poor sales, lack of demand, any other reasons? I was gutted a sequel never made it, and we've had nothing but silence since. The potential of that game was huge. Cheers for your email, Matt. I mean, ultimately, nobody knows what happened. Obviously they did keep supporting the game for about a year and a half, I want to say it was about September 2020-ish. It was certainly, we did the virtual worlds in 2020, and it was certainly, I would say, the September-ish of that year where they stopped supporting updates for the game.
Yeah, and also in August of that year they released a mobile port called WST.
Yeah.
That was basically a mobile version.
But
of the
they
game,
did update the
players.
rankings on that one. I seem to
But not
remember.
the players.
Not the players, but they did update the rankings on it, which was interesting. I just wish they would have done something like that with the Snooker 19 game. Just updated the rankings so that you didn't have Luca Brissell in the top 16 and that sort of thing, because he'd ended up dropping down to about 40 or 50 by 2020, I think. Obviously, it works out now, but at the time it was a bit annoying.
But that wouldn't be possible because half the players would have dropped off tour, so I guess they could have still.
But they could have just shuffled the rankings up like they did with the new app, didn't? But it is what it is. Minor things. But I mean, nobody's heard anything from them. I know at one point the Lab 42 who developed the game, they were sort of took under the ownership of another sort of game group called Sumo Digital, and I don't know whether their resources were just put into something else. I know that Sumo sort of made, was it Sackboy, I think they made, and various other games Sumo Digital make, and perhaps Lab 42's resources were just took elsewhere, because there was definitely another game in development, very early development, I believe. Because when I spoke to Justin Forrest, who was the game director for Snooker 19, he was talking to me about going down and playing the next version of the game. So they must have had ideas about it and maybe developing it, but it's probably not poor sales. I mean, they still put it on Steam sale very regularly. They put it on sale on, so they're still active with it. It's not been removed from PlayStation Store or anything like that, which is what you usually see for sport games. They usually get, removed after a couple of years. So it's still there. I suppose there's still the hope that one day they will return to it, but I think COVID has a lot to answer for it. Obviously, that held back a lot of things, and I guess something like Snooker 19, unfortunately, just got lost amongst that. I don't know if you have any other ideas or thoughts on that, Tom?
I mean, it's all pure speculation.
Yeah.
But I imagine, to be honest, that it probably did sell all right. I think to be a game that was released on so many platforms and, had a pretty big play, group of players. Quite a lot of people still play it online. You can still play people online 5 years later, which you can't do that with most FIFAs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it did well in terms of playership and in terms of sales, but I think maybe the issue is that with a snooker game, because it's quite niche, it would be fairly low budget, and then it probably would make a bit of profit, but maybe, that's the sad thing about some of these companies or businesses. They might just go, yeah, but it's not a big enough profit to justify making the new one, because it's all that kind of risk versus reward thing, and they probably might have went, okay, we've made money on Snooker 19. Is Snooker 20 a risk? Would the sales be here for Snooker 19? And then no one's bothered about it would have been a fairly bold move for them to try and reinvigorate the yearly cycle that has been stopped for so long. Even though I think I surely think there must be a market when you consider the global market, but I just think maybe they thought it was too much of a risk. But it's a shame because we're on a new console generation now, really, and I think that's always the sign where you start to worry about a franchise is when it's not being carried over to a new generation. Like I remember when there was no Spyro game on PS3 for a long time, and everyone was kind of going, "Oh God, does that mean Spyro's dead?" Because and it's a similar thing with this where you do just go, well, is there going to be one? Because you go, well, I want one, Joe wants one, loads of people want one, but really it doesn't always mean that things happen, because loads of people would love a great snooker game, loads of people would buy it, but we wanted it for 8 years, and it took a long time to get Snooker 19.
And as we said, we're already 5 years into this game cycle, and it won't be long before we're hitting that 8-year mark that we hit with the gap between 11 and 19. So I think ultimately what it is it probably, as you say, it's so niche that it's not profitable, and we see that with a lot of games these days. That's why there's not been a darts game. We're not in the era where we had PlayStation 2 games for Postman Pat and the Muppets, for instance. You just don't get that anymore, right?
Bring back the Muppets. I loved Muppet
Well,
Race
it's
Mania.
all in the background there, Tom. It's all in this room, right? All that history is there. But
next time out your house, mate, we're playing the Muppets. We're doing it.
Muppets
and
Party
Postman Pat,
Cruise.
which I presume you own. Have you done a Let's Play of Postman Pat yet on your channel?
I haven't done a Let's Play of Postman Pat, but I do own it. Yes, I do own it. Anyway, but yeah, thanks for your email, Matt. Honestly, we don't know anything. One thing I am hoping through doing this podcast, as it gets more and more popular, perhaps we can try and find out what on earth happened. Maybe we can get somebody like Justin Forrest on the podcast and just talk to him honestly what happened. and try and get some answers for it. Maybe somebody from WST. Please come and talk to us. Come and let us know why is it or why didn't it happen? Because I think that would have some closure to it. If they explained, right, we moved resources elsewhere because this, that, and the other, fine. It's the unknowing and that hope of that maybe one day we'll see an article pop up and it'll be, okay, Snooker 25 announced. With John Virgo's commentary. But anyway, thanks, Matt, for that. Another email that we've had from our good friend Fionn. He titled More Cue the Music. So he says, hello. How are you? It's Dominic Dale's #1 fan here once again. You're both probably sick of the sight of me popping up in your inbox. Never.
No, not at all.
But when I found this...
Please never leave.
Never leave, please. But when I found this, I had to email in. This one is for complete snooker nuts. I found the music. I found the music that the players are introduced to in the Home Nation series, Shootout, and others. If I may, I will once again open the scoring. I would like to give it a 5, sad face. The song already isn't great, but it's been tarnished by the fact that it's also the title music for the darts on Sky Sports. I've nothing against the darts. In fact, I love it. But I don't like to mix my sports, and now the song always gets me up for the wrong sport. Thanks again, boys. Fionn. So there you go. So there's a future...
You can blame Barry Hearn for that and his Matchroom team.
A future cue the music there, Tom. So I know you've got a spreadsheet going, so I'm sure you will add that to the list. But those were our emails from the last couple of episodes. In terms of comments on YouTube, we have had a fair amount of love for the Snooker 19 one. So we'll probably do a follow-up at some point of that. But yeah, just to read out a few, we had one from Paul. Great podcast as always, and I would definitely be up for winning one of them beer mats. We had Colin, 1625. That glitch is still in the game. I think that was the one where you said they sort of float along the table. We had one from Gio, saying, great episode, guys. Agree how challenging Snooker 19 is. The beer mats are awesome. We had one from Data Boy saying, I've also played most of the snooker games made since 2000. I love Snooker 19, notched up hundreds of hours on my Nintendo Switch, but the bugs unfortunately turned me away. It would always freeze in a Season 2 match and you were unable to forfeit. Also, the beer mats are brilliant. So there you go, Tom. Those are our comments, and thank you for getting in touch. Please do get in touch down in the comment section, over email, all of that good stuff on Twitter, at Snooker Loopy Pod. We really do want to hear your stories and your thoughts.
Well, Joe, also Ian got in touch saying that he would want a signed beer mat by both of us.
By both of us.
And I wonder whether this is going to change how you feel, because you've come here and you've been trying to be like, yeah, see, I was right. Everyone loves my beer mats. But now suddenly, if there's 50 people who want one of your beer mats, I think you're going to go, no, I don't want to give my beer mats away, actually. I don't like this anymore. Stop liking them.
Like it. No, as long as I've got one left, that's fine by me. That's fine.
And you can all meet up together and bring your beer mat.
Yeah. What we'll do, Tom, is we'll charge people for it. It's a tax.
You're going to make huge money. Here we go. Here comes the tax. I knew Joe was this kind of politician. It's the tax right at the end. Yeah, absolutely. Here it comes.
Yeah.
There'll be less money in your pocket if you vote for Joe's party.
Just as a side note, Tom, I know we said we weren't going to talk about real life politics, but I sort of talked through all of the different policies of the different parties with my form today, and they were all baffled by the sentence 2p, an extra 2p off the national insurance. Like, people were like, what's 2p to anybody? Like, they said, I've got 2p here. And, they were riled up, Tom. I just thought that was quite a funny little anecdote of how the young mind works. But so I had to explain it was 2p in every pound. But yeah.
Oh, they thought there was actually going to be 2p.
They thought it was actually going to be 2p. They're going to knock off 2p. They thought that was the top policy of the Conservatives. Oh, we're going to knock 2p off your national insurance.
And that's probably what the Conservatives would do if you were writing some sort of political satire of the government, going, "We'll save you 2p," and people are going, "Oh, I'm going to vote for them. They'll save me 2p."
Yes, you know it makes sense.
Well, there we go. Oh, we also got an email actually from Banksy.
Oh, yes.
And we've got a thing that we think we'll share over the next few days that he sent us. It is Kyrian Wilson as brown sauce, because it's Daddy's brown sauce, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely share that on Twitter and probably on the YouTube community page at some point over the next few days. And he said he's recently bought Snooker 19 on the Nintendo Switch. So I don't know whether that was because of us or the podcast, but there we go. So people are still buying it. So it proves there should be a new one that me and Joe can play. Because I just want it. I want them to release a snooker game that I can beat Joe at. That's all I want. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's too hard for them to do one where I can win and Joe can lose. Then Joe will do a Let's Play of it and play 5 episodes and go, "Oh, I can't do it. It's rubbish." But I'll have a great time because I'll beat Joe. So please, if the developers want to get in touch with me, and I can just be like, yeah, give Joe's copy a different version so the ball's all funny and it doesn't work. That'd be great.
Thanks, Tom. I really appreciate it.
There we are, mate. I don't know what else we can say. Do we want to talk about the Championship League? We can't really talk about it.
I don't think so. I think let's wrap it up there. We've given our election special. We've had some cracking cue the music and cue the laughter, and we'll save stuff for next time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just remember, whoever you vote for, whether it's me or Joe, Jimmy's minted. Jimmy will always be minted. His ship has come in. Yeah, I've had a big win. Go on, Jimmy. So there we go.
Oh.
He's minted. Vote Jimmy. That's what I think tomorrow. Vote for Jimmy.